You know, we live in really interesting times right now. Like, I couldn't think of a more interesting timeline to live in than this one. Because it's just insane. It's absolutely insane that this is just a paradigm that we're watching unfold before our very eyes. Like, the whole paradigm is shifting. The incredible thing about everything that we've witnessed over the last 10 years is just like flipping over on its head. The whole thing, the whole house of cards is just imploding. Because the paradigm for the last 10 years, effectively, has been right versus left. And what's going to take people some acclimation to get used to now, and while we move forward into the future to 2030, which is obviously an important date for the global elite, for whatever reason, because, you know, I hold my own views about this, but I mean, they're probably not a hot take at all, but I hold my views about it. The whole paradigm shifts from here on out. The whole thing is changing. The whole table is being moved. I mean, we're getting figures in our media now that are pushing narratives that you would have never proposed a year ago. You would have never heard conversations like this a year ago, definitely not 2 years ago. Absolutely not 2 years ago. Much less the longer you go back in history. Basically, I mean, in 2020, if you would have said some of these things that, you know, some of these individuals say, even mainstream characters like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, you would have never heard things like this because they would have been lambasted. Okay, they would have been completely shut out of the conversation. Okay, it was literally revolutionary. People were not ready for Kanye. They were not ready for him because he's crazy. But the difference between brilliance and craziness is often a very small margin. And now we're starting to see the reflection of that. We're starting to see a little bit of the intimate introspection involved with that, where we never saw that before. The paradigm is fundamentally shifting. As time progresses, the paradigm is only shifting further and further because the noticing just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. People keep noticing, and that obviously brings about a lot of contempt, and it also brings about a lot of danger, as I think a lot of people who are starting to become aware, and nothing I'm saying is particularly new or novel information. I'm not revealing anything. I'm just having a kind of a dialectic here about how things are shifting so rapidly before our very eyes. There is no left anymore. Like, this kind of like free or false choice that we have is falling apart at the seams. Okay, it's literally collapsing. This false choice that we've been fed now for I don't know. I mean, the better part of 5 years, it is falling, or if not longer than that, is just collapsing. And they always distracted us with this, though. They always distracted. If you never caught on, if you were part of the crowd that always fell into the culture war debate and argument, then you were falling into that trap. Because yes, we can get Steven Crowder talking about whether there's, change my mind, there's only two genders, but these are conversations for like amoeba. These are conversations for idiots. Anyone knows that. Anyone with a brain knows that. Okay? Who is not aware of that? These are things that you don't discuss. Okay? You don't give pearls to swine. Okay? These are obvious conclusions that we arrive at, but they've distracted so much of the right into having these conversations that they effectively neuter the capacity for any substantive movement that was worth a damn, really. Because at the end of the day, if they can get us arguing about whether there's 2 or 3 or 15 billion genders. And if they can get us arguing about whether there should be women in men's sports, and then guess what? The whole time they keep devaluing our money. They keep flooding this country with immigrants daily, and we fail to deport them month after month, year after year. The problem is not going away. Okay, most people are not completely insane, but because the media likes to portray as the left as being this like really like conniving and powerful force by way of the Democrat Party, which is literally, castrated. They are like a headless chicken as of now, because the situation develops. They might have had more power before, especially like 2020. You could say, that was actually, I wouldn't even say it was the peak. That was actually the point of their demise. That was the point of their demise. It was kind of like both their climax and their demise. The paradigm started to shift in 2020. And now in 2025, as the situation evolves quicker and quicker and quicker, the left has literally been obliterated. There is no more left. So continuing to engage in this conversation about obvious things, obvious topics that are just so obviously meant to distract. It's just bread and circuses, right? Because it's funny to laugh at them, right? It's funny to laugh at drag queens. It's funny to think it's like so insane. It's like, yeah, no. But in reality, are these major problems in our lives? No, the major problems are there's too many illegals, right? These are points that Nick Fuentes talks about all the time. There's nothing new I'm talking about here. It's the illegal immigration, and partly you could say illegal migration, but even if we don't want to go back that far, illegal immigration, okay, the welfare state, this is a huge one. The welfare state, the inflation of our dollar, the continued presence of Israel in our politics. Say 80%, and these are like official figure, 80% of our Congress is bought out and paid for by them. These are the real problems. But if they continue to distract us with the bullshit, we're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to get anywhere in any conversation. But now people are starting to wake up to this. This left and right paradigm is falling apart before our very eyes. And some people are aware of this, right? Some people are aware of this going on right now. There's this new right being formed, this new right of these neocons, of these like fake conservatives or real conservatives, depending which way you look at it. They are conserving something. That's for damn sure. They're conserving something, so maybe they are conservative. Posing as this America First agenda, when in reality, they've never been for that. They've never given a damn. They've only posed as that for publicity, really, as PR. And people are starting to wake up to even that, right? So, in the midst of killing one dragon and chopping its head off, another head has spawned somewhere else, and it comes from the very place of the same party that we've pledged allegiance to for so long, because there are snakes in the garden. These belligerents haven't gone anywhere. They've just now transferred. They've now called themselves something new, like Elon Musk. They are now calling themselves something new. They are now Republican when it suits them, because they see that the left has been utterly destroyed. There is nothing left of them. Okay, their minority leaders, Hakeem Jeffries. They have no one except Gavin Newsom. These are clowns. These are clowns. These are lightweights. There's nothing to these people. And even the right is also disassembling. We are left with nothing. We are left with effectively nothing. J.D. Vance. That's what we're left with, which is a plant, really, a bastard creation. So it's like, What is there left when all the dust settles? What is there left out of this nuclear winter of 10 years of media back and forth clashing? If you pay attention to the news over the last year and a half, but really mainly since Trump took office, there's been very little bad news about Trump. I don't know if you've noticed that. There's very little bad news. You look at it, because back then it was like every 30 seconds there's something horrible about Trump. His tax returns, and he didn't file it, and documents Mar-a-Lago, this thing and the other thing. There's always something bad. Over the last 7 months, there's been almost nothing bad said about him. The media's just kind of quiet. Nothing's happening. Nothing's going on. And that's the problem, too. Nothing's going on. Once Trump leaves office, what are we left with? What direction are we left with? Because it ain't going to be Trump. I mean, the failure with Epstein and everything is par for the course. What are we left with after this? It's a serious question. What, besides Vance, which is a plant, right? From Silicon Valley, from Israel and Silicon Valley, what are we actually left with for the nationalist right that exists, that's left over? Because it seems like with passing time, we only make more and more enemies, or we realize there are actually a lot more enemies than we initially thought. Okay? Because people are unsatisfied with Charlie Kirk. People are unsatisfied with Tucker Carlson. And if you aren't, you will be very soon. People are very unsatisfied. They're unsatisfied with Trump. They're unsatisfied with Doge. They're unsatisfied with Elon Musk. They're unsatisfied. I don't know if I said, Tucker Carlson. They're unsatisfied. At this point, if you still watch Ben Shapiro, I don't know what to tell you. Show me your yarmulke. Show me the kippah, because you clearly have not. You've been living under a rock. So at some point or another, people are going to catch up, and people are catching up very, very quickly. Like, it's fast. It's fast moving, and we still have 3 more years, effectively. 2 more years, 2.5 more years, whatever. We have a long time until 2028. Who is going to rise up to the occasion like Trump did in 2016? Who was supposed to be this great savior? I mean, what? Seriously, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm just, putting that out there. But, what's most important, I think, right now is for people to realize how the battle lines are changing. I mean, there's a fault line, and it's cracking the whole paradigm in half. The paradigm is fundamentally changing. This is no longer left versus right. It's not. It's not. It has, that died. That is dead and in the grave. And it rests in the grave of Trump's failures. That's where it rests. It rests in both Trump's success and in his failures. Because his election, obviously, Kamala didn't win. So they were left with no one else. And who the hell? Seriously. There are levels to this, right? There are, of course, levels to anything. But there are levels to this. There are the people who get this, you watching, you understand this. At the higher level, there's the people that are understanding this dynamic right now. They're in the atmosphere where they're collecting this information, they're processing it and changing, pivoting. They are pivoting. We are pivoting. And then there are the people that are still arguing on the right and left. Okay, there are the people that still have the Israel flag in their bios, and or if they ever had them in the first place. Personally, if you ever had it, I think you're a fool, but that's besides the point. If you ever took sides, right? If you were ever the person to take sides here, like it was a Sunday night football game, then you're part of the problem, because this is not Sunday night football. Okay? People who side, okay, This is the problem. Below that are these people. You know, below us are the people who, let's say, they are on the right, and they've been arguing against the leftists. Okay, that's fine. And they're still in that. So, you know, these Orwellian proles, they're just still arguing on these things. And below that are the people who pick sides. Okay? Like Ukraine versus Russia. And Palestine versus Israel. Who's gonna win in tonight's game? It's not a game. If you had any intelligence, you would just recognize that geopolitical matters are very complicated. I don't pretend to understand it, because I don't. No one understands it. No one fully understands it, except maybe a very small handful. But if you're picking sides, you're dumb. Frankly, you're dumb. Okay, what do I have invested in Palestine? I don't care. What do I have invested in Israel? I also don't care. What do I have invested in Ukraine? I don't care. What do I have invested in Russia? I don't care. So why do you pick sides? And right below that level, you have actual leftists, like you have communists, like these are just bottom of the barrel. Like these are your stupidest people on the planet. I mean, it doesn't get much dumber than that. But there are a lot of them, don't get me wrong, but most people are not like that. Okay, most people are like, 100 IQ, can comprehend these things and conditionals and how things change with time. They can see, we all have internet at this point. Yeah, there's boomers, and the boomers either side with Fox or with CNN, but they're dying out. So again, the paradigm is shifting. And it's shifting, I think, the hardest for Gen Z, my generation, Nick Fuentes' generation, without a doubt, the hardest. Okay, I'm 24 years old. So I see the impact that these things are having. I've been looking at this since I was in, sophomore or junior year of high school. I've been watching it. Like many, we've just been watching it. So it's time to break out of the conditioning. It's time to break out of this comatose of Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. It's time to break loose. It's time to break the chains and imagine something different, because it's going to happen. And Gen Alpha will be there to witness it firsthand. The times of 2016 are gone. The times of 2020 are gone. We are rapidly advancing towards something new. So we're moving even past people who were previously considered insane lunatics like Alex Jones. Now Alex Jones is like lightweight. Like Alex Jones is like is like, okay, and not to say that he doesn't have good info, because he does. There's plenty of stuff that we learn. But we're moving to Nick Fuentes. We're moving to characters that are just getting day by day more and more seemingly controversial. And I hesitate to say extreme, but by a media perspective, extreme. So, I don't know. It is very, very interesting. That's all I can say.